There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, the host, and I'm coming at you from the Broken Tine studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. And I'm super excited to come at you tonight because I got a really special guest on tonight. He's a repeat guest, and we're going to roll right into this episode. I have no announcements or anything major other than the contest winner from the Phelps Game Calls giveaway has still not reached out to me, and I'm going to give him one more chance. And he even mentioned something on Facebook, and I told him what episode to listen to find out who the winner was on that episode. So, Victor Gonzalez, you got to email me, brother. Jim@thewesternhuntsman.com. That is Jim@thewesternhuntsman.com. Reach out to me, and you, sir, are the winner of the Phelps Game Call package giveaway. Which leads me to the next point. We have some more giveaways coming up. We've got a Scree gear giveaway. We have some more Phelps gear to give away with September just around. It's basically knocking on our door right now. And pertinent to tonight's episode, we have a really cool giveaway with Tactacam. So from the sunny shores of Arizona. Give it up for Rudy Nunez. Rudy, did I say your name right?
You got it right, Jim.
I got tongue-tied, man.
Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate all the listeners out there. Love coming on here and talking shop with you. With all the things that you did for the School of September and everything that we got planned individually and collaboratively. Man, it's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting, dude. We got a lot to talk about with September just knocking on our door like this. And the way, I mean, this season's just coming together. I don't know about for you, but I've been watching you on social media and what you've been posting with some of those pictures coming in on your reveal, how that's going to pan out. And I know where you're going hunting. We won't say it on the show, but I know the general area where you're going. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I want to talk about that amongst a ton of other things tonight. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, no. So this is first time going to be archery elk hunting in Utah. I'm really excited. I've done Colorado over the counter the last few years and had very successful hunts. Didn't come home with a cooler full of meat, but I've heard you talk about it quite a bit. Even if you come out with tag soup, you still come out with some kind of knowledge or something that you can take away from the hunt. But yeah, this year, man, so got my over-the-counter Utah tag. You and I have talked about this before, that everybody should either start planning to do a over-the-counter hunt. It's not impossible. It's not a rich man's game. You can start putting away and start saving a little bit at a time so that you can make this a reality in a year, 2 years, 3 years. But yeah, like you said, I just found a really great place and have a couple cameras out. I'm scouting from Arizona. So just been getting some really excellent bulls on camera. And man, really excited about getting out there here at the end of the week. So
Did you go all the way to where you're getting those pictures from to set these cameras, or did you have some help with that?
I had some help.
Okay,
I have some little elves out there.
Based on where I know you're living and where I know those cameras are set, that is quite the hike.
Yeah, so I'm in southern Arizona. It's a 14-hour drive to where I want to go. And so this is actually a really good point to talk about and touch on is the whole benefit of e-scouting, putting your time in e-scouting, as well as It's always good to know people in the area. So I do know some hunters up there that are pretty familiar with the area. So what I did is I mailed 2 of my Reveal Self trail cameras up there. They put them up in some strategic locations. So now essentially I'm patterning these elk and I'm getting a good sense of like what's in the area, real time to my phone. So it's really been a game changer. I hope it helps my odds in the end. And I really have a good basic strategy that I'm going to be going in with.
Well, it's GNU for sure. I mean, if you think about, okay, where you're going hunting, you already know there's bulls. Whoa, I just hit my mic stand. You already know there's bulls. You've seen them, you've shared them on, Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So we're all kind of watching. And so the nice part with that, I know it's August, so there's a chance that some of those bulls are going to move come September. However, the bottom line is you're also getting cows, and where the cows are, the bulls are going to be. And that particular area that you're going is, man, I don't want to give away a bunch of stuff because there's a lot of Utah listeners in here, and so I don't want to create any issue where people think that I'm promoting non-residents to go to Utah to hunt your spots if you're listening to this from Utah. but Utah has some very unique situations that make it very good for an elk hunter that some other spots throughout the country don't experience. So anyways, I think you're in good shape, man. I am super excited for you and really looking forward to seeing how this season kind of comes together for you, dude. It's a great area. I can't say enough. I wish we could throw some banner back and forth about where exactly it is you're hunting while we're recording, because I know a lot about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and that's the cool thing. I mean, I don't have the luxury of living in elk country. So for me to get up to elk country in Arizona, it's going to take me 4 to 5 hours to get up there. But the cool thing is that right now, through that cellular trail camera, I'm able to watch the progression from July into August into September as you have these bulls that are growing. They're in a bachelor group. They're in full velvet. Then you see, the cows are herded up and then you start
to come off, yeah.
Then the velvet starts to shed a little bit, and then these groups of 4 and 5 are starting to be groups of 2 and 3, and then you're starting to see individuals. And I could tell you that up until now, to now, I'm starting to see, less regular action on the camera. But I'm still getting quite a bit. So it tells me that, like you said, those bulls, they're starting to disperse, or they're starting to steer clear of each other, right?
Let's talk about that cycle, because I think a lot of people listening to this, they don't understand what's going on this time of year. So for those of you listening, right now it's the 24th, right? Before I say that on air, and I'm wrong. I believe it is August 24th.
Thereabouts.
Yeah, thereabouts. Give or take a day or two. Okay. So we're at August 24th, and for those of you listening, especially first-time hunters and some of you guys that haven't quite dove into this life cycle of an elk and all these things that are important to know as a hunter, what we're looking at with Rudy's track record with these cameras, what that's telling us is the bulls have been together for the most part, right? Well, now they're kind of going off into what I've heard referred to as this staging area. They're kind of staging. They're kind of setting the stage for September. So what that means is the elk are going to, these bull elk are going to run in these bachelor groups for most of the year. For basically 11 months out of the year, these bulls are running in these bachelor groups. They're together. They're hanging out. They're more mature. They're away from the cows, and they have no interest in being with the cows at this point. However, this time of year, now they're starting to get into that season for the rut, and they're starting to consider, okay, I am going to be a rutting bull, and I need to know who my competition is, and I need to split away from these yahoos so that I have a better chance of finding cows on my own. And Rudy, is there anything you want to interject there? Just let me know.
Not to interject, just to add on to it, they're starting to get physical changes, hormone changes, all these things all these things take into effect, and it's just like you said, it's just a natural cycle. These bulls, they are prepping, or like you said, staging to reproduce, which is one of their most basic instincts. And it's really cool to see that real time. And I'm envious of people who live in elk country who can get out with a pair of binoculars or a spotting scope and kind of witness this stuff happen, either weekly after work. But no, this is the most exciting time to be getting ready for a hunt or being in the woods is September. I can't say that enough, just because it's, So, I mean, I'm really excited about that. And so you said 11 months out of the year. I can tell from experience. Last year I had a rifle bull tag in New Mexico. I think it was like the second week in October. And so this life cycle, the cycle that we're talking about right now that happens in September that we call the rut, and many of your listeners have experience and some may not have. I was on the tail end of that, to where now these bulls, they've rutted, they've bred, and now they're starting to, what I witnessed when I was out there in those hills in New Mexico was they're starting to peel away from the cows, and they're starting to like bachelor back up. And that was like the second week in October. And that I had a different strategy when I was hunting that weekend than I would have in early September.
Yeah. Actually, you make a good point there. I do want to clarify. It's not exactly 11 months. It's like 11 months, give or take. What it really is, and this is just my perspective, because I do live in elk country, and I really monitor these elk. So throughout the year, what I've noticed is it's really 10 months, but it's 2 weeks prior to September and like 2 weeks after September. And in some cases, you will see elk that are alone, bull elk alone around Halloween, still looking for some of those cows that haven't bred, and they're going into that second cycle or whatever. But getting back to this cycle, what they're doing now, and what they've been doing for a week or two at this point, is they're splitting off from each other, and they're determining a pecking order. They're determining who's the big bull in this area, and if there's a bigger, badder bull than me, I need to move to a different area and find my own cows and hope that there isn't a bigger, badder bull there, right? And so that's kind of what they're doing, and then they're going to go into the rut cycle, which we all know is September. And then October rolls around, and they start kind of going into a recovery mode, where they're picking up some cows that haven't bred yet, maybe going into a second cycle, and then they're going to start towards the end of October, bacheloring back up, going into, I like Randy Newberg's assessment of that, and he says that they're going into sanctuary mode.
Sanctuary, that's right.
Yeah, they're going into these deep, dark holes, these faraway places, roadless areas, where they're not going to get bothered, and they can kind of recover because the rut's pretty tough on them. So
that's right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, man. I love talking about that stuff. I geek out on it like crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool to see the pre, the during, and the after, and experience that.
And the difference, yeah, for sure. So,
well, so for that October hunt, my strategy going in was get high and rely on my glass a lot.
What do you mean get high? How high are you talking? Like
get high? I mean,
high?
I was hunting around, I guess it was like 85 or 9,000 feet.
Okay.
Getting high on a peak, high on a knob, glassing benches, glassing clearings, glassing meadows and stuff. But what I found in northern New Mexico is that, man, it is thick. It is thick, and my glassing theory was destroyed the first morning. It was almost like if you were glassing onto a hillside or a mountainside, you only had these little openings between the pine trees and stuff. So essentially what that hunt turned into for me, it almost felt like an archery hunt, because I was, side hilling, walking saddles, walking valleys, walking cuts. And when I was in that timber, a long shot would have been around 150 yards or in. And
oh, go ahead, man. I cut you off.
No, and I was going to say, so my strategy from day 1 to day 3 and 4, I really went light on the calls. I mean, obviously I knew that this was kind of post-rut time frame. They weren't going to be really reacting to cow or challenges, that sort of thing. So the first couple of days I was out there, I was just watching, I was just listening. I might have threw a few locators out, before the sun came up, just to see if I got a response. And they were still talking a little bit. I did get those early morning location bugles.
Just to cut you off, like this was the second week of October?
Yes.
And
they were still
you were getting periodic responses to your locator calls.
Correct. And cool. And they were still well, I wouldn't say advertising, but they were still, announcing their locations like in the morning right before the sun would come up. So it was really cool to see. It just wasn't that heavy, ruddy action that we kind of expect in September.
Yeah.
But yeah, so come day 4, my tactics changed a little bit. So I started thinking, okay, if these bulls are not looking for cows to breed, they're not building their herds, their harems, what are they going to be doing? And immediately I thought, okay, so they're going to start breaking away and they're going to start trying to find each other, these bulls. So I switched to just doing like low moans and groans. And I've heard you talk about those little lazy in the bed kind of groans.
I'll do one, man. I'll do one
right
now. Let's hear it.
Do it. Let's hear it. Exactly that.
That's all it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was doing that. I was doing very light chuckles. Chuckles more of an invitation. And so once I started doing that, dude, cows started showing up. Spikes started showing up, raghorns started showing up.
Oh, nice.
And I ended up calling in a couple shooter bulls that just didn't pan out the way I hoped for. Trees, excuse. But it seemed to me like I started having immediately I started noticing that I was having these close encounters, and it just didn't seem like an accident. So it was really cool. You don't get that you can listen to all the podcasts and all the professionals out there and the experts out there, but until you actually get out there and start testing some various theories and building your own style, you just never know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. And so it's funny you say that because I have an interesting perspective on that. As a podcast host, I get some of the best on the show, right? And they're talking about these certain scenarios. And sometimes they like draw this black and white line where there's like, you have to do it this way, or you're going to scare the bulls away, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. And then when I'm in the field, it's like in real time, I prove that theory wrong. And I'm not disparaging anybody. What I'm saying is it may surprise many hunters to know what you can and can't do in the field to get a response out of an elk. There's no book. You were in the military, right?
Yes.
You know how they have this manual of everything that you have to do and everything that you shouldn't do. And you can't go outside. You cannot gray the black and white lines in the military, right?
Right.
And if you do, you get in trouble. And I know because I did it one time and I got in trouble. So the thing is that is not the case with elk hunting. Or any kind of hunting, in my opinion. If you get creative and I've heard Dirk Durham talk about this a lot. Get creative, find new ways to think outside of the box, both in your calling, in your strategy, and all these things that kind of make things come together for you, and you might surprise yourself. I love it. That's what I love about hunting. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit of context for the listeners that maybe didn't catch the last podcast I was on, because that was heavy on like product and what we do as a company. I am not an elk expert. I am not a hunting expert. I'm a guy that started hunting late, and I'm a guy that started elk hunting even later. My first elk hunt was 2017, and it was a successful elk hunt. I had a nice 5x5 on the ground within like 30, 45 minutes.
Was that
very cool.
Was that the one where your uncle got one and then you walked away and got another one, like the same?
I walked away.
Morning?
Yes, I walked into the fray and I had one down like 30 minutes later. It was just a surreal experience. But I guess the point of what I'm trying to say is that you don't. I'm not an expert. What I do though is I do digest a lot of information, a lot of theories, a lot of like you said, like you've had a lot. The School of September has been fantastic. I've loved to
Thanks,
hear
man.
Joel and Dan, and of course loved hearing Dirk and Trent, and everybody has their own method. And like you said, some are black and white. I was just on a podcast the other night, and the host asked me, he said, "You're really into elk hunting. So what is your strategy? Like, what is your go-to?" And my answer was, I try to let the elk and the elements tell me how to be successful for that particular hunt, because no two hunts that I've been on so far have been the same.
Yeah.
They've all had their own challenges. It was either dry or hot, or the bulls were on fire, and I can get away with bugling my head off,
or full moon, or not full moon,
whatever,
all sorts of stuff, dude.
Yes, exactly. So, and what I've really consciously tried to do is not to pigeonhole myself into one theory, one bag of trick, like become a one-trick pony. I really admire the elk nut.
Paul Medell.
Paul Medell is he's one of those guys that has been working with elk before it was cool. 30, 40 years, I think I heard him say not too long ago.
Yeah.
And so I really like how it's been a long time, and I really like how he explains it. Like, when you start to try to really figure out, the secret can be the elk are asking for something with their vocalizations. Give them what they're asking for, right? Try to analyze like what they're doing, their behaviors at that time. As opposed to somebody else who might say, you know what, we're just going to go out and we're going to challenge everywhere we go. Every drainage we hit, we're just going to throw it in there. And that can be very successful. I think Paul Medell has more like of a finesse, whereas some of your Trents and your Corys are going to be very aggressive, and they're going to go out and they're going to find a bull that wants to play.
Mm-hmm. And with that strategy, there's nothing wrong with it if you have the time and the sheer determination to keep going and doing that, because that's worked for me.
Right.
But there's this other side of it where you have like the elk nut and some of these others out there like Michael Batiste and Joe Gillia. They have these more, I don't want to call them advanced strategies, because it's not advanced, it's just different. Where they're finessing these elk, and they're allowing the elk to tell them how they want to be hunted, right? And it works.
Exactly.
It works, and it's great stuff. And that's the beauty of School of September, is that myself as the host and the listeners listening to it, we can all kind of take all these nuggets of information and knowledge and experience and put them into our toolbox. And when we're out in the field, when we hear the elk doing what they're doing, or that we see the elk doing what we're doing, we could look back and say, I heard this similar scenario on the School of September, and this is what he said to do.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, and that was by design. That's why I did it that way. It's just I love it. I've learned so much. I've learned more than the audience has just by doing that series. So
absolutely, yeah. Well, and my strategy for that first successful hunt was listening to Paul over and over again, a lot of his seminars and stuff. He really promotes the breeding sequence. Mm-hmm. So he says that's like one of their number one killers, right? And they've killed just tons and tons and tons of bulls. So a few things. I mean, Paul will tell you that he goes out in the morning, right, before light, before light, and they start trying to locate at that time, right? They want to make sure that when they go in and they're hunting and they're exerting and getting after it, that they're going to be in the elk. So what I did that day is we implemented the breeding sequence. So we happened to be in a place where the elk were being vocal, a lot of bugling around. So my uncle and I, what we did is we simulated a breeding sequence. So I was bugling, and then we were doing cow calls, right? So we were kind of simulating like cow going into heat, bull tending. And then so what we did is once I realized that we had some bulls that were answering us specifically, I targeted that bull, and I started playing the jealous bull, jealous boyfriend kind of deal. Every time the bull would bugle, I would cut him off. Then I would start answering with cow, And then it was just really this, I mean, we brought in like 5 or 6 bulls that morning before we actually shot the 2 that we were after. And it was just
awesome.
it was just a method that it was on fire that morning. It couldn't fail that morning, and it was the right
great.
choice. Then you go into my Colorado elk hunt the year later, and I'm like, I got this foolproof method that I'm going to use. No elk is safe when I'm out here using this breeding sequence. And boy, I was humbled quick.
Yeah, man.
I was humbled quick because, I went out there. We did call in a nice, I think it was a 5x5. It must have spotted us. My buddy Ryan, he almost got the draw on this bull that came in, but that was the only bull that answered that type of calling sequence. After that, I was trying to locate in the morning. These elk were, I found the best strategy in Colorado where I was at 2 years ago was they were feeding down in the meadows right before light. And then, my strategy was trying to get up the mountainside to cut them off as they were coming back, because they were talking a little bit, but it was very, very quiet, very, very subtle. And it was just enough for these elk who were probably within 50 yards of each other just to keep tabs on each other. So that was a new behavior to me. And I was like, okay, how am I going to hunt these elk? I'm going to try to cut them off. I'm going to try to find out where they're bedding down. Where are they watering? I know they're moving during the day. I just got to make sure I'm in them. And I was hoping for a mistake, and I almost got 2, and, came home with tag soup. But that was just another eye-opening experience to where I said, okay, you can't just go in and bugle your head off. And expect to be successful. So that was it. That was a situation to where I let the elk tell me how to hunt them.
Does it surprise you sometimes when you're like, you move 2 miles away, or it's a sunset and the bulls are doing one thing, but at sunrise they're doing something totally different? Does it surprise you how much can change in a few hours or a few miles when you're hunting elk in terms of strategy and what works?
It doesn't, just because I feel like there's so many factors that can affect their mood, their behavior, their habits. The year after 2018, the year after I harvested my first bull, I went out with my buddy who drew an Northern Arizona bull tag, and we went out and we got him. He shot a bull at 8 yards. I called him into 8 yards. But what I found out that year was that it's so crazy, because the first opening night we set camp, bulls were everywhere. Then night 2, night 3, the bugling at night started getting more distant and more sparse. And it because more hunters were moving in.
Yep.
They sensed that pressure, and we saw that immediate behavior change right then and there. It was real time. It was tangible. So, that was a great experience too.
Yeah.
Couple calling sequences worked on that hunt. But by and large, the bulls that year were very quiet.
Uh-huh.
So my strategy changed. I noticed that these bulls were right after, maybe half an hour after first light, they were starting to head up to these knolls, to these knobs. And it was a unit that had been burnt a few years back. So what you had was, these hilltops had thick aspen, like 10 feet growth.
Yeah,
so these bulls were bedding in there. So essentially my buddy Brian and we made the decision to what we were going to do is try to put elk to bed and then play the wind and try to catch them while they made a mistake coming out of their bed in the evening. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. This bull, we sat on this bull for hours. And during the day, he would just chuckle or grunt from bed lazily. We'd get something like that.
I love it.
And then he would shut up. And a couple days before, we had tried to call these bulls out during midday, and it's like they're not going to go anywhere, right? They're there for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the last day of the hunt. We're sitting on the side of this hill. We know we put a bull to bed in this thick patch of aspens. And we're like, man, what are we going to do, dude? Should we just try to stock in on it? You're like, no, there's no way you're going to stock in on a bed bull. So it was maybe about an hour before dark. And he started chuckling a little bit or grunting a little bit more regular. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to walk up right to the edge of this aspen, and I'm just going to throw the nastiest, gnarliest bugle I can. So I walked up, I did it, and I just, ripped a hard bugle, and I heard him get up out of his bed, and he immediately started grunting and panting and raking trees and thrashing. And I was like, oh my God, I said something right to this bull, and he's pissed. So Brian runs up, we meet, and I say, hey, we need to get downwind, a little bit more downwind. The wind shifted a little bit, and let's try to walk this trail right up to him. Every time he's raking that tree, we can gain 10 or 15 steps.
Oh yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. And he was just just pissed.
I love it, man.
and thrashing this tree. And I got a video of that. I'll post it up later.
Yeah, you should.
And yeah, finally we're stalking up, and it's like, walk, walk, walk. Stop, stop, stop. Walk, walk, walk. Stop, stop, stop. Until finally I said, you need to get down. And we took a knee, and all of a sudden I see antlers coming right for us. And I'm like, you need to draw. He draws back. That bull comes out to inspect, to see if there's any other bulls out here, because he thought somebody was encroaching on his bed. He wasn't looking to breed right then and there, but he was looking to push something out of his bedding zone. And my buddy shot him at 8 yards, and we recovered him, 30 35 yards from that spot.
Oh, that's fantastic, man.
What an incredible story.
Right?
I got goosebumps talking about it because it was so close you could smell them. It was just insane.
I love
it. And it was a game time decision I made right then and there. And I wasn't thinking about Paul Medell's elk app, and I wasn't thinking about things I've heard from Born and Raised Outdoors. All credit to those guys. I think maybe having seen the way they do business successfully, you start to build these scenarios to where you say, if the elk are doing this, I'm going to do that.
It becomes reactionary when you study, when you become a student.
Correct.
Instead of being like, oh man, I got to think about what I'm going to do because I just heard the bull say this. It's like automatic, right? And that's what a lot of hunters miss, is they don't get to that stage. They don't spend enough time understanding the animals and the behavior and the calling sounds and the sequences and what works and what doesn't work. And that's what's nice about all this content that gets put out there is
right.
It helps you throughout the year keep that edge sharp. It's a way to sharpen that edge.
Exactly. And all credit to Dan for the segment that you guys did. And he says, look, man, I'm not getting ready for elk, 2 months before season. He's like, this is a 12-month game for me.
Oh,
you're talking about, take it for granted.
You're talking about Dan Staten over at Elkshape. Is he a stud or is he a stud?
He's a stud, and it motivated me. And I always work out hard the summer before an elk hunt, and I stay in okay shape in the off season. But it kind of was like, man, there's only so many good elk seasons in a lifetime.
Yep.
On a body, right? And so you need to make sure that if you're going to be out there, make sure that you are doing everything right. The elk are always out there training for your hunt. You should be too.
Yeah.
Kind of how I think about it.
Oh man, we can go down so many rabbit holes with that, man. I mean, I loved having.
I love it, dude. I get so excited.
I do too, and I want to get back to it. We're 30 minutes into this, and I feel like there's going to be some listeners because our audience has grown substantially since last time you were on, man. And so,
sure.
Rudy, tell everybody just real quick, like, what do you do for Tactacam, and what is a real basic bird's eye view of Tactacam? Because and anybody who's been listening for a while, Tactacam is a sponsor of the show, and we have the Tactacam gear available at thewesternhuntsman.com for those that are interested. But this is not going to be some running ad for Tactacam in this episode, but it's important that people know who you are and kind of your background there. If you're anything like me, hunting is a year-round thing for you, and we're always thinking about how to make our next upcoming season a little bit better, and one way to do that is with gear. And you guys know I'm not a big gear junkie, but I do have some important gear items that I'm always a huge fan of, and they're right here available on this show. Let's talk about Scree gear. Scree is my go-to camo. Scree is high-performance hunting attire and gear, scientifically tested camo patterns, and all backed by a great company, and I wouldn't recommend it to you if I didn't truly believe in the Scree product. They've got a complete layering system for all terrain and conditions, gear designed to adapt to the weather. It's rugged gear. It's got a lifetime warranty, VIP sizing and exchange program. You can't go wrong with Scree. Get the best out there without breaking the bank, and to make it even better, use promo code The Western Huntsman for 15% off and free shipping. Hell of a deal. Check it out at ScreeGear.com. Next on the list is my oldest and fondest sponsor of the show is Phelps Game Calls. One thing I love about companies like Phelps Game Calls is the American success story that came out of it. And Phelps started in Jason Phelps' garage years ago, and it's now one of the premier hunting call companies on the market, and I wouldn't point you in that direction if I didn't feel like they were the best calls available. Jump on PhelpsGameCalls.com. When you find a call you like, use promo code Huntsman10 for 10% off. I promise you, you will not regret it. Hoffman Boots. Hoffman Boots is a go-to boot company I've been using for years and years and years. And the cool thing about it is I'm only on my second pair of Hoffman Explorers. I put lots of miles on my Hoffman Explorers. They're a great boot. They're not going to cost you a small fortune to get. And they have all the same guarantees and warranties that every other company out there has. If you want to be confident, guys, do not skimp on boots. Go to HoffmanBoots.com. Get you a pair of, for me, I like the 8-inch Explorers, but they also have the 6-inch. They have all sorts of different options. Check it out at HoffmanBoots.com and use promo code Huntsman10, all caps lock, for 10% off. And last but not least is Tactacam. Are you interested in filming your hunt? And are you interested in helping with conservation efforts throughout the North American continent? Well, then I got a deal for you. Tactacam is a point-of-view type kind of camera that records in 4G. They also have other products like the film through scope, the FTS, and you attach that to your rifle scope and you can film your shot right there. And they have the mounts for your shoulder, for your head. You can mount it to your bow. You can mount it to wherever and whatever you want. Lots of versatility with the Tactacam. Other products include, but are not limited to, the fisheye camera. The Tactacam Spotter LR is definitely worth a look if you want to film what you're seeing through your glass while you're actively hunting and get it on camera. It's a great thing. But I think that the thing that I'm most excited about with Tactacam this year is the new Reveal cell cam that is coming out. This trail camera will send you images in real time as they're coming in. They've got like an enhanced antenna for better service. If you're like managing property or something like that, or you've got a bear bait set up somewhere that you have phone service, you can get those pictures right there to your phone. This cell cam is super, super cool. I'm really excited about it. And you can get all this at thewesternhuntsman.com/gear. Go to the gear shop. You'll find all the Tactacam stuff right there. Best pricing out there on it. And what happens is we split the profitable revenue from these sales of the Tactacam gear, and half of it goes to conservation efforts, which vary depending on what quarter of the year it is. Right now we're raising money and trying to get some money over to Sportsman's Alliance. It's a great cause, and that is what's going to go down when you shop for Tactacam gear at thewesternhuntsman.com. So go over there and check it out and get you a camera. Guys, let's get back into it. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I'm involved with Tactacam in an official capacity. That is my 9-to-5 job. I'm the brand manager for a couple of the product lines that Tactacam has. And it didn't start out that way. I had nothing to do with the industry. I was just a guy that enjoyed hunting. And kind of my passion led me to this opportunity. So now I talk hunting all day long and, work in the hunting field. And it's really exposed me to make a lot of great connections, talk to a lot of fascinating people who've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. And
I really I think probably the best part about this job is probably the connections that I make and the networking that I make.
Dude.
Yeah. And that's
totally.
why I always tell people, go out to your local non-profit organization banquets like NWTF and the Mule Deer Foundation and Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. They have those fundraising banquets, but it's an opportunity to meet people, network.
You can drop a shitload of money if you want. I mean, I'm famous for that.
Well, I know people that got horseshoes up there. You know what? Because they're always winning like rifles and packages.
Man. That's what I'm saying.
That's not me, dude. I don't play a $2 scratcher because I don't win nothing.
The recipients of some of these banquets, they're sending their kids to college on what I'm putting in there, and I don't win shit except for at the Mule Deer Foundation one year. I cleaned house. I got T-shirts. I won a safe. Well, that's not true. I was the highest bidder on an auction on a safe, which was only the case because I was intoxicated enough to know or to think that I could afford that. And I went home with a safe that night. Next day, I checked my bank account and I found out that I was not rich enough to bid that kind of money on a safe. So go to those with caution, folks. I want to know. No, that's a great point, Rudy. I love that, and the networking, and like you said, just being in the industry, what you've been doing, and the people you've met. I mean, my life is like fulfilled just doing this podcast because of connections I make with guys like you, and
right.
And it's just amazing what we could learn from each other, and how we could build like a community of people that have the same goal at the end of the year. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
I do have a story for you, though. I want to tell you a story. Are you up for a story?
Lay it on me. I'm up. Let's do it.
Now, before I go there, you were in the Army, right?
I was in the Army. Oh my gosh! I know. All right, where are we going with this? Yes, I was in the Army.
Okay.
I was in the 82nd out at Fort Bragg. So I used to bump elbows with a bunch of you Marines down at the beaches of North Carolina and stuff. I have some good friends in the Marine Corps.
And that's what's cool about our friendship, Rudy, is I was stationed in North Carolina with the Marines. We were a little different. Right. Our timing was off a little bit, but by
about 20 years.
No, I'm not that old, dude. Come on. Don't. No. The gray in my beard is because I do this podcast and I have daughters. All right, it stresses me out. I'm still just a young buckaroo. I'm just a young buck. No, but this story, it's an interesting story. I think you'd appreciate it because it was some time ago, and it was deep, deep, deep in the jungle. And these Army airborne guys, it was an entire brigade, let's say. Do they still have brigades?
They do.
In the Army? Okay, it was an entire brigade. We're, a couple thousand troops, whatever. They're walking through the jungle, and the commander of this brigade is up front. And they're walking, and all of a sudden, this dude comes running back to him. He's a soldier. He's an Army airborne soldier, but he's covered in blood, right? And he's coming back, and he's just frantic. And he's like, what is going on? He runs up to the commander, and he's like, sir, do not go over that hill. There is a Marine over there. And he says, what are you talking about? He said, sir, there is a Marine, and he just about got me. Don't go over the hill. And the commander looks back at his troops and he says, you know what? Send a squad over there. Let's send a squad of airborne troops over there. Take care of that Marine so we can keep going. So this squad, they're super motivated, right? These are airborne guys. This isn't just your basic, well, I don't want to say a job in any of the military to offend anybody, but they go running and they're going to go on the attack. Are you tracking, Rudy? You're tracking.
I'm tracking.
Right? Okay, you're tracking.
Yeah.
This squad of airborne troops, they go flying over this hill. There's like 10 of them, and they go over this hill, and all of a sudden you hear all this gunfire. They're shouting, they're screaming. There's grenades going off. There's blood, spitting ass, everything going everywhere. And all of a sudden one of them comes running back, and he's covered in blood. He's got a wound in his arm, and he says, "Sir, we need more men." And the commander says, "It's only one Marine. Send an entire platoon." So this platoon, they gear up, they lock and load, they go running, they're charging the hill. And they're going after this Marine that's back there. And you could hear all this gunfire and explosions and grenades going off and missiles and spitting ass and blood and guts and everything going crazy. And nothing happens. Nobody comes back. And the commander's getting really concerned. And he says, "I'm not messing around anymore. Send an entire company, 100 airborne troops go flying over this hill. They're running over there. There's guns going off. There's bullets bursting and grenades going off. There's smoke and spitting acid, blood and guts and everything going on. And a guy comes running back, and he's limping. He's got a wound in his arm and a wound in his leg, and he's coming back to the commander. And the commander runs up and said, "What happened, son?" And he said, "Sir, do not send any more men over there. There's not just a Marine. There's 2 of them."
I would like to know how many of your followers are Army versus Marine. So if you're listening to this right now, and comment if you're Army or if you're Marine, whichever branch or component has the most, we're going to pick one of you guys, and I'm going to send a sweet apparel swag package out. That's a promise right now. So let us know. Are you Army or are you Marine?
I know I've got a good mix of both because I get ragged on. Some of them tell me I eat crayons for a living, and others are, you know how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, appreciate your service, brother. I appreciate everybody's service out there, guys.
We do.
It's just strange times we're in right now, and this is the greatest fighting force the world has ever known, and just appreciate everybody out there that toes the line.
Amen.
For us. So
what's beautiful about that whole situation is what people might not understand, because things have gotten so nasty politically and all these other things that we could record a whole podcast about it, right? Is the beauty of what, like the joke I told you and the jokes you've told me. You told me a really good Marine joke. You got me good last time you were on the show. I didn't even have a response. I couldn't even respond. I was like, damn, man.
But you're going to have to repost that one.
I should. But the great thing about it is for folks listening to take a lesson from, the fun rivalry between the different military branches. That used to be how it was throughout America. Back, a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and long ago, it was okay to have rivalries, and it was okay to make them fun, and we could still love each other. Where
that's right.
Today, holy shit, man, you disagree with somebody, and especially on Facebook, it's over. Like family members are disowning each other over it. Who's presidential candidate they like the most, and yada yada yada. And so, anyways. All that to say is I appreciate everybody's service as well, and especially you, Rudy. I know you you were in for a long time, dude.
I had 8 years in.
Yeah,
I had 8 years, 14 months in Sadr City, Iraq, and actually, matter of fact, I got a humanitarian mission in under my belt. Worked at aid station in Haiti after the earthquake, so that was really really rewarding work. But
good deal.
But yeah, man. So hey, we got some really cool stuff to announce too, because you recently drew a coveted tag, did you not?
I don't know how coveted it is, but I drew it, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be hosting Jim this October for a rifle Coues deer hunt.
Oh my goodness!
In southern Arizona.
You have changed the way you pronounce that, so we're gonna have to talk about that.
In the spirit of our last conversation, yes.
Okay. So since we've talked last, I had Jim Deere on down there, and he's one of your guys down in Arizona.
That's right.
And he was very, very particular about how he pronounced it. And like Rudy said, I have the pleasure and the privilege to go down and hunt with him down in Arizona for a Coues deer. Or Coues deer, whatever you want to call it. We're gearing up for it, man, right?
We're gearing up. October 22nd is the opener. Told Jim the other day on the phone he better start getting in shape. I know he's in Idaho, but we got it's warmer down here. We can hunt up to about 8,500 feet. It's really rocky, really craggy, really steep stuff. But I think we're gonna have a great time. Great time. Yeah, we're gonna be filming the whole time, so I'm gonna have about 10 or 15 Tactacams out there, and I was thinking maybe do a spotlight segment or something, podcast. It'd be like during or after
We should record while we're out there in the field sometime at some point, and just
I think we could
update, right?
Just do a little 10 or 15-minute bonus, because it really is different country. You're really gonna love it. It's country to where I'm gonna recommend that you buy some snake gaiters, snake chaps.
Oh, great, man.
We're gonna be in rattlesnake country, so
there's a lot of things I can deal with. I was in the Marines. I can deal with terrorists, but rattlesnakes are pushing it a little far, man.
I wear my snake chaps until the end of November.
Okay, so that's good to know. And what's super interesting is with this hunt, you kind of alluded to it there, Rudy, is the disparity between the country that I'm hunting in North Idaho. So I am like I don't know, less than an hour where I live and where I hunt to Canada. You are the same predicament, an hour or so less to Mexico. And I am hunting these really steep, rugged, coniferous, forested kind of country out here where you can't see more than, on a good day, 100 yards in front of you. Where we're coming down there, and I'm a little nervous because so I've hunted a lot in Utah where you can, watch your dog run away for 3 days straight because it's so open. And Arizona is even more exaggerated with that in terms of the country, and it's open and it's rockier, it's steep, it's unforgiving country. This is going to be great, man. I'm so looking forward to it.
Well, and Arizona's got almost every kind of, ecosystem you can think of. But yes, where we're going to be down south, it's deserty. It's mesquite. It's a lot of thorn bushes. I mean, a lot of, I guess would be equivalent to kind of like sage. We get, it's like some of this, it's like chest high, creosote brush, stuff like that. So we're going to be targeting these Coues deer up on these hill faces, right? They like to roam different elevation planes. The mule deer down here in southern Arizona really like the flats down in the on the bottoms, and the Coues deer tend to stay high. So we're really going to rely on our glass, on our binoculars, and our spotting scopes, as opposed to putting the miles on up front.
Okay.
So just like I mentioned to you earlier, my strategy going into New Mexico was kind of get high or get into a place where I can glass a lot of real estate. That's what we're going to be doing here.
Yeah.
And, when you see this big expansive country and you're surrounded by, a couple different bowls or networks of mountains and stuff, I mean, we can glass deer as far as a mile away, and then it becomes, is that something we want to pursue? Let's make a plan, get your pack on, let's go after it. I mean, it's bang, bang decisions just like that when you're out here hunting Coues deer.
So basically what you're saying is I need to upgrade my glass, because I'll admit it, man, I haven't in years because, I've got a nice set of loophole binos that I just picked up. Pretty excited about them. But so in North Idaho, there's not a lot of long distance glassing. You don't just sit in glass. That's a thing of the past for me. And so I'm gonna have to retrain my eye. And you're gonna have to kind of re-show me the ropes on this glassing thing, because it's just not something we do here to that kind of extent. What
the secret is, I gained a lot of patience tree stand hunting in North Carolina and Maryland. It's a patience game. You want to be out there at first light. You want to start, there's a method to glassing, working certain terrain features where the bucks typically like to roam. We're in October, we're probably going to see some bucks that are bachelored up, right? So we may see groups of 2 or 3 bucks at a time. And, a big Coues deer down here, like our goal is going to be, at least a 3x3,
okay.
3 points on each side. And we're kind of shooting for 70, 80, 90 inches. I mean, that's a good Arizona Coues buck.
Yeah. I've been doing some homework. I've been doing some research on it. You said it earlier. It's interesting how the roles have swapped. So essentially, a Coues deer is very similar. It's basically a whitetail. Is that right or wrong?
It is a subspecies of the whitetail.
Okay, so what's interesting with that is up here in Idaho, the mule deer are the ones that are up high. They take the high country, and the whitetail hang out in the low kind of agricultural interface. Mm-hmm. And like where I live, I have whitetail all around me. They're on the property. But if I go, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 feet higher elevation, just right across the street from me, up into the higher country, we've got lots of mule deer up there, and you won't see anything but giant mule or whitetail bucks up in that high country. So it's interesting right. How that swaps, going down to Arizona.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I feel like I'm going to a totally different, just planet or something. Hunting these Coues deer. And when I get down there, I don't want to sound like an idiot. So the locals, they'll say, they call them Coues deer, right? Or should I?
Everybody says Coues. Everybody says Coues. The layman's way to say it is Coues, right? Okay. So I mean that's how we say it, but.
I don't want to come down there and like go get some authentic Southern Arizona food or something in a restaurant and be laughed out of the restaurant because I call them Coues deer or Coues deer. So I gotta know. They can't call me a tourist when I'm there, right?
Yeah. Well, outside of maybe like some forums that have debated it, or maybe a video like a Ranella video or something like that. Like I've never heard it spoken the other way.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Coues deer, yeah.
We're good. Because I like saying mm-hmm. Coues. It's a fun word.
Cousers, that's what we call them. Yeah. Coues Day. Is where we like to share a lot of our pictures and stuff. I know you're going to have a great time. I think we're going to get some really cool footage that you can post on the website. We'll share a bunch of it. It's a different experience. And for your listeners listening, out-of-state tags, it's not impossible to draw a tag. So in Arizona, for a rifle, you have to enter the lottery. But there's some units down south which hold really good animals, really good numbers in the herd, and you can probably get drawn for a Coues whitetail hunt within 1 to 3 years. And you don't have to wait 10 years to get drawn.
Yeah. I
think, like some places.
I think that's a great point, Rudy, because a lot of people, when we think about hunting in Arizona, we think, oh man, we have to build up 10 years of points or 20 years of points or whatever. And a lot of that comes from elk. Correct. Like your Unit 2, I want to say it's Unit 2 and Unit 20 or something like that. Anyway.
Elk, trophy mule deer, and bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
That's half a lifetime to draw some of those.
But, I mean, I have never applied in Arizona until this year, and I put in and I applied, and it was interesting how that happened because you were saying that, other folks had already had their credit cards, hit, and they were already seeing all that kind of process through, and I hadn't seen anything. Then it was like a week later, all of a sudden I get this hit from Arizona Fish and Game, and I'm like, dude, I drew, and you're like, you're kidding me. It was just crazy. So it's not that hard to draw is the point. And it sounds like it's a great hunt.
No, well, exactly. And we do have over-the-counter opportunities. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, I'd like to chase, some Arizona mule deer or a nice Coues deer, over-the-counter archery, there almost every part of the state has at least one or a few seasons that you can come down here and chase, Coues deer with a bow. And all you have to do is buy that tag over the counter. Bear is over the counter. There are some turkey hunts that are over the counter. So Arizona, drawing a good elk tag, it's going to take you a few years. Bighorn sheep, forget about it. I'm too old. I'll never put in for one.
Dude, start putting your daughters in.
You got to start doing that when they're 10 years old. That's right.
Yep.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of opportunities down here. And I know bear probably won't excite Idahoans because Idahoans? San Diegans? What do you guys call it?
Idahoans or real men. Real men, I think, is one other way. Real men.
Right. Somebody's giggling out there right now. Yeah, I mean, you guys got great bear seasons and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess really the allure down here would either be like javelina, which is collared peccary, kind of looks like a wild boar.
Oh, dude, can I get a javelina tag? Or is that something I have to?
You can, but we have to put you in for the draw, and that's January, February.
Ah, shit. So I forgot to do that, huh?
Well, the hunt's not till January, February, so there's actually no javelina hunts in October for adults.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, there's a youth
gotcha.
hunt that goes on. But if you like what you see and you want to come back and chase Coues or mule deer with a bow, some January, February, we can definitely put you in for that. And that's the cool thing about the archery season is you can hunt either species at the same time.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing rifle. Right?
We're gonna be doing rifle.
Yeah.
I would suggest that you need to be proficient. I would say probably be comfortable shooting out to 500.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. Do I need to bring my my Tactacam cameras, or are you good with them? Because I don't mind.
Yeah, bring what you got.
Okay. Because I want to make some videos, man, and put them on our YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I've never really done that kind of thing before in the past, and we're talking here at the Western Huntsman about putting these hunting videos out. So we're going to start doing that this year. And I want to talk about that Tactacam 5.0 and the wide lens 5.0 because I took some pretty good footage of this last bear season. So I did not tag out this last bear season, so I didn't put a video together. But I just want to touch on real quick without making this sound like a Tactacam ad. The simplicity and the ease of using these cameras in conjunction. So for those of you listening, for what I do is I have a shoulder-mounted 5.0 Tactacam point of view camera that is mounted via my pack, my shoulder strap on the pack, right? And this actually Rudy gave me the idea. He texted me the link to get this little shoulder strap.
It's a Velcro shoulder strap, like an action camera strap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I strap that on, and then what I carry with me along with that is this flex clamp, and that actually came from my buddy Bob Lagassa, and he's like, yeah, just get you one of these flex clamps, and you put your Tactacam in it, and so when I'm calling in an elk, for example, I can take the flex clamp and I can clamp that. It's like just any kind of clamp, Everybody knows how they work.
Like an alligator clamp.
Exactly. You squeeze them, you throw it on the limb right there by the tree. And what I did is I put the wide lens on there because I don't know exactly what angle that's going to be taken. And so I throw that on the tree limb, and then I advance forward a little bit. So that's filming, and then I have my shoulder-mounted Tactacam 5.0 to my pack. So that's kind of basically getting the point of view right from my head, so to speak, because it's right next to my head, and it's all controlled by one remote control that hangs over my neck on this lanyard. And so it's super cool because I can get the bowl fired up. I clamp the wide lens. I've got the smaller 5.0 on my pack, my shoulder strap, and I hit that button on that remote, and they're both recording these two different angles, and it's amazing. I mean, it's a perfect way, especially if you guys are out there hunting solo. This is how you capture that footage, and this is how you're going to get it to a point into to be able to show the perspective as to what you were at. It's going to capture the sound, the footage. It's in like 4K. All this stuff. It's a great way to capture those memories and keep them forever and never have to worry about it. It's super easy to use. You got anything to add? That was like, I got really excited there, but. Go ahead.
No, I see, and I love to hear that. So, but that's a great point for your Idaho hunters, guys. You can't mount anything electronic to your bow or your shotgun or your rifle if you're hunting big game, right? So it's really important to know and understand your laws and regulations out there.
And guys, I've had a lot of questions. Not to cut you off, Rudy. We'll get right back to that. But I've had a lot of questions regarding whether or not that pertains to bear season. Yes, you cannot film through the scope or have it mounted to your weapon for bear season. Just a clarification. Sorry, Rudy, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's perfect. And so that was one of the solutions that we found for Jim, was to be able to run either a shoulder strap, a head mount, which the head mount, I find I get headaches when I wear a head mount, like a rubber band around my head. It gets heavy. So I really love that shoulder mount on my pack, because when I'm hunting, unless I'm sitting down for lunch or something, I always have my pack on my back. Yep. So that's just, if you're in Washington State or Idaho, I think North Dakota, maybe one or two other states, you can't actually mount the camera to your, big game hunting platform. So there's really clever ways to incorporate cameras, action cameras, or Tactacams in your hunt. And I suggest, guys, if you haven't done it before, the first time you catch that kill on film and you're able to watch it that night while you're eating backstrap, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
You'll play that video 1,000 times. You'll make sure everybody knows. It's the cool factor is way high, the functionality factor is way high. Let's just say if you are in a, you make a questionable shot, you review it right there in the wood. You say, hey, should I back out, come get it in the morning?
Yeah.
Or should I just give it a few hours and go pursue it? Or no, that was right in the 10 ring. It's definitely functional.
The options are there. And you know what?
Correct.
I guess, I don't know. The way to put that is one of the things that really surprised me with like the Tactacam 5.0. Is the sound quality that you get, because I thought, okay, I don't have any kind of external microphone, and as a podcast guy, I'm always, pretty cognizant of how the sound quality is, and it was interesting seeing as I'm walking through, it's not like you have a foamed up mic or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
right.
that good. But it is so much better than like your cell phone, or like if you were using a GoPro, or it sounds like you're in a tin can. The sound
right.
quality on them is really good, and that's always been one of the things that really impressed me with the Tactacam. And so I don't know. I don't want to make this a Tactacam ad. That's not what we're doing here.
But at least we're talking about the merits of why somebody would want to self-film, and to me, it's so fulfilling, and it adds just another element of challenge to your hunt.
It does.
Right? I mean, it does. Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of reasons why you'd want to, but let's talk about giveaway real quick.
You want to?
Let's talk about giveaway.
You're up for it.
Yeah. So
I'm up for it if you're up for it.
I'm gonna throw it out there. So
sweet.
One thing that you guys in Idaho and other states that don't allow, weapon-mounted cameras, we introduced last year our Spotter LR. The Spotter LR is a 4K camera that attaches to almost any spotting scope on the market. So essentially, it's perfect for scouting, shooting range, target shooting, kill shots, all that stuff. So this camera weighs 10 or 11 ounces, mounts right to the back to any spotting scope eyepiece. It records in 4K, exceptional battery life, lots of memory. And we're going to be giving.
Go ahead.
We're going to be giving one away. So this quarter we decided on a challenge. What did we say, Jim?
I'm thinking like what you said. And guys, just to clarify one thing, this Spotter LR, this is a $300 system. This is something that is, when you mount it and you've got your SD card in it and everything, I mean, this thing's amazing. You got to check it out. Go to Tactacam.com and check it out, because it really is, it's a badass piece of equipment that anybody who is scouting or hunting would really benefit from having. When you're scouting and you put that Spotter LR into your spotting scope, and you're watching through that, the information that you could garner from that the footage that you get from that is super beneficial to you. Again, I'm not trying to overly promote this stuff, but it is in any hunter's best interest to be able to get this stuff that you see in real time on footage for you to review. Think of it this way. A good football team always reviews footage of their own plays and the opponent's team. This is kind of the same concept, especially with the Spotter LR. So, again, this is a great piece of equipment, and what Rudy and I talked about is for those of you out scouting over the next, 6 weeks, Rudy?
Let's say now to the end of September.
Now to the end of September.
Your opportunity to submit a video. We're doing a video challenge.
Yep, it's a video challenge, and this video challenge does not necessarily have to be with the Spotter LR or a Tactacam product. You could take your cell phone and kind of just film yourself scouting and talk about
through binos, through spotting scope,
binos,
whatever.
What is that? The phone scope. You can even use that. And you can just, or if you're out scouting and you've got your spotting scope set up, you could take your cell phone, record a video, and explain what you're looking for, what you've learned, what you're trying to get out of the scouting expedition, all that kind of stuff, and submit it to us at jim@thewesternhuntsman.com, and I'm going to share that with Rudy, and we're going to determine a winner. What do you want to add to that, Rudy?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know if we're going to post it either on one of our websites or whatnot, but I don't know, maybe we'll decide, or we'll create a panel to decide, or maybe let the fans decide what video they like the best. And if you submit the best preseason scouting video, doesn't matter what it is, elk, bear, predators, whatever, I'm going to send you a spotter LR and a nice swag bundle. So
that's right. And so it's a great giveaway, guys. This kind of thing is, we don't take our giveaways very lightly here at the Western Huntsman. And this partnership that we have with Tactacam is important to us in the sense that, we have to believe in these products. You guys know that I am not some big gear junkie. I'm not one of those dudes that says, hey, if you well, I'll tell you what. If I advertised every piece of equipment that approached my my podcast to say, hey, you should let us sponsor you, you guys would have half the podcast be sponsorship ads. I deny 99.9% of them. And that is because I don't know them. I don't know how they work. I don't know how they are used in the field. I don't know how they're beneficial to you as a hunter. That is not the case with Tactacam. This spotter LR is perfect for you guys, and that this giveaway, I love it because it is something that is going to help you guys in a sense of getting out there and scouting, doing the work, putting in the miles, getting out there and getting some footage down. Again, it could totally be, I don't care if you have an old iPhone 1 and you're out there and you just, you're just kind of talking about what you're doing and what you found and what you've learned and what you expect out of this hunting season based on what you've seen throughout your scouting season. It is going to apply to this contest. And so I want you guys to submit that footage, and it could be, what do you think, Rudy? Like 30 seconds to a couple of minutes?
Let's keep it short. Hey guys, I'm so-and-so. This is what I'm after this year. Check this bear out. Check this deer out.
Yeah.
Really simple. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super simple, super quick. The reason, just keep it quick, short and sweet, because we'd like to post some of these. So if you do send them to that, we are going to assume that you are giving us permission to share them. And we'll use your name and all that kind of stuff. So don't be shy. Just submit us a video and show us what you're doing out there scouting wise.
Too easy, right?
Yeah, super easy. And you could be in the running, or you will be in the running, for the Tactacam Spotter LR. Again, that's a $300 piece of equipment, and it is freaking amazing. I'm excited for you guys to check it out. So, yeah.
Appreciate that, Jim.
No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys doing that, because it's not.
Absolutely.
I didn't pay for this. You guys are forking it out. You guys.
We want to have fun, man. We want to have fun. You have a great platform. I love your challenges. I really love the one where you had people write, youth write letters and send it in. Mm-hmm. That was exciting. So we want to help bring value to your listeners and stuff. We appreciate you guys as a company. We appreciate the listeners, the fans, the followers. This year in 2022, we're going to be doing a lot of getting back into trade shows and stuff. I work a lot of the Western trade shows. If you see me out, if you see Tactacam there at an SCI event, or what's another one?
Like the Hunt Expo kind of things.
The Western Hunter Expo, exactly. ISE's, the International Sportsman's Expo. Come and find me, guys. Let's have a conversation. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to, have a platform just to share my experiences. Guys, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that loves to hunt and loves to talk about it. Yeah. And if you find me, pull me aside, man. We'll talk for an hour before we realize what happened. So. And
that's very true. That's why Rudy and I. That's why we get along very well. And Rudy, man, you're a great American, man. I appreciate your service to the country. I appreciate what you're doing with Tactacam. It's just you got a great message. You have a really good articulate way as to how you like to share the information for hunters, and moving forward, love to get you back on the show again.
Absolutely.
It's just a lot of fun. So I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Guys, submit your videos, and don't forget, there is a spotter LR on the line, and you might, if you play your cards right, let me put it to you this way. If you play your cards right, you're going to get some Western Huntsman swag as well out of the deal. So we got stickers, we got T-shirts, we got all that stuff. But we just want to see the footage. Guys, put it out there and send it our way. Rudy, do you have time for one more story, or should I just call it quits now?
Your fans love story time, Jim, so I'm going to give you the opportunity. Lay it on me.
So there's this town, and the town has a mayor, right? And the town also has a pigeon problem. The pigeons are taking over the town. And there is just pigeon shit everywhere. And it's just like polluting the town. It's a problem, right? There's pigeon shit on the statue in the middle of the town. It's on the city hall. The town judge, when he's walking to work, he gets crapped on his head. It's a big problem. So the mayor puts out an ad in the town newspaper, and he says, if somebody could solve our problem, we are willing to pay to get rid of this pigeon problem. And so this man approaches. He happens to be a United States Marine. Approaches the mayor, and he says, for $1,000, I will get rid of your pigeon problem, plus $100 for every question you ask. And the mayor says, $1,000? What will the taxpayers say? I don't know if I can afford that. And so he denies the Marine, and he says, no, we're just going to keep trying to find some other options. And time goes by. Weeks are ticking by. In the meantime, old ladies are slipping on pigeon shit on their way to the grocery store, and this big problem is developing, and the pigeon problem is getting nothing but worse and worse and worse. So the mayor calls up that Marine, and he says, okay, $1,000 plus $100 for every question I ask, you could solve the pigeon problem. And the Marine says, yes, sir. I can be there tomorrow. And he says, okay, you show up tomorrow. So the Marine comes down into the middle of town, right there in Times Square, or whatever you want to call it. And he pulls out this cage out of his pack. It's an Alice pack. Pulls out a cage, and there's a pink pigeon in it. And he opens up the cage, and he points to the sky, and the pink pigeon flies up and makes a big loop, and every pigeon in town starts following the pink pigeon. And the Marine points to the south, and the pigeon takes off to the south and takes all the pigeons out. No more pigeons in this here town. Rudy, are you tracking?
I'm tracking. I smell what you're cooking.
Okay. So the mayor comes up to him a couple days later, and he says, okay, all the pigeons are gone. We don't have any more old ladies falling on pigeon shit. Here's a check. And he hands the Marine a check for $1,100. And the Marine kind of looks at him, and he says, even though I'm a Marine, I could do a little math here. I said $1,000 plus $100 for every question you ask. You must have a question for me. And the mayor looks at him and says, yes. Do you have any pink Army Airborne Rangers?
Oh. First, two notes here. First of all, I need to up my storytelling game. Second, I think the next giveaway, we're going to have your fans one-up us.
We should, man. All right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on the show. That was a lot of fun. It always is with you, and I'm really looking forward to this hunt we're going to do down in southern Arizona. And feel free to think of some good jokes and get me back when I'm down there, because we'll record again.
I will. Hey, guys, hunt hard. God bless, and thank you for having me on.
Thanks a bunch, Rudy. You made it all the way to the end. thank you so much for tuning into the show. We sure appreciate your support. This is Jim Huntsman signing off and reminding you to check us out at Instagram at The Western Huntsman and on Facebook at The Western Huntsman. And you can also check out the website at thewesternhuntsman.com. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.